to, in an even greater capacity, fund treatment for folks who have substance abuse issues, but also really hold our state and federal leaders accountable for giving Boston what we deserve, and that's more help dealing with this issue.
Let's talk about jobs in the economy. Talk to us about how you would, one, keep the existing companies here and keep them growing and keep our citizens employed, and then two, what would you do to inspire new young business growth and more entrepreneurs to start up here in Boston?
So the number one way you do that is by being a strong city with a strong fiscal background. Companies that want to locate here and move here or expand here, the first thing they look at is what's the fiscal health of the city? Are we going to become another Detroit? They don't want to invest millions of dollars in our city unless they know that the city is on the same financial footing that they are. That's why as mayor, I'm going to make the budget and being the CEO a top priority. As mayor, I'm going to run the city, the money piece of it, like a CEO would, making the tough decisions when necessary, even if they're not politically popular. Having a strong budget that's fiscally balanced, which brings companies to our city, is also important when we have a strong bond rating. Those companies that move here then grow the jobs here that our white-collar and blue-collar workers in our neighborhoods get. They create the jobs that retains the talent from the colleges and universities. Our strong bond rating, which is reflective of our fiscal health on Wall Street, is how we sell those bonds to build roads, bridges, playgrounds, parks, community centers. There is a connectivity about having a fiscally strong city, and a CEO is willing to run the city like a business in that aspect of it. That's the number one way you do jobs. And then as a city, we're going to be proactive to help and outreach to business owners who want to operate in our main streets districts. We're going to simplify permitting and simplify ISD and make the process more clear and make it easier for business owners through permitting. I think one of the number one things you can do is make the permitting process easier and make sure that folks who are getting ready to open a business and have the capital and can get started can do it quickly, not holding them up for a year or more at a time for them to open their business. We're also going to be proactive. I think the city needs to do a better job actually aggressively recruiting businesses to locate here. I've called for the creation of an Office of Innovation and Ideas, a team of people whose job it's going to be is to engage community residents, business owners, community leaders in the city, but also in the state and around the country, so we can bring best practices and best ideas to Boston and implement them. We shouldn't be afraid of a new idea just because it's not our idea, and there's no such thing as a new idea, just a good idea. In that role, I envision us going out to try to recruit businesses to bring them to our city, to advertise all of the reasons why they should be doing business in Boston. And we're going to provide incentives, real creative programs that help them locate in our city, including giving them access to capital, which is also usually the number one reason they have trouble opening a store in our city.
I was just about to ask you about tax incentives and where you stand on that to inspire businesses to stay here and to flourish here.
We should absolutely be looking at creative incentives for businesses to be here. We should absolutely, through D&D and the BRA and through our loan programs, we should be making them easier to access for businesses who lack capital. And at the same time, we give big incentives to the Fidelities and the State Streets who threaten to take their jobs out of here. Well, the smaller businesses are the lifeblood of our neighborhoods, and they're just as important. So we should be looking at creative solutions in terms of providing incentives for them. And we should be, by the way, looking at what other cities are doing, even if it's a city right next to us like Cambridge. A better relationship and connectivity with them about how we can keep businesses in our city. And at the same time, I think there's got to be ways we can learn from other cities about what they're doing.
As the city is evolving, you see that there's a lot of construction going on. There's a lot of units, high-priced condos and apartments going in. What would you do to have to inspire the creation of more moderate and low-income housing?
So we need to, the number one way you do that is by building more units. So the next mayor, whether it's me or whoever, has to be committed to programs like Leading the Way, a city-funded program which commits to a certain amount of housing units being built every year. It'll be my commitment as mayor and as the chair of housing in the council. I've supported those initiatives. I support the Neighborhood Housing Trust, which is providing the linkage money to build affordable housing in our city. We even need to maybe look at the linkage formula. And is it time to tweak it to get more revenue coming in from our commercial businesses who build in our city? So that way we can build more affordable housing. It's taken advantage of our rail lines to build transit-oriented development, like the Fairmount line. And it's building TOD housing and other housing along that line. And it's also not just jamming all the micro units and everything in one area in the Innovation District. I see an opportunity to link affordable housing from the Innovation District in rings outside the city so that other neighborhoods who would welcome these young innovators living there would have an opportunity to do it. And finally, we're building houses for the very rich, and the very poor. But there's a real group of folks who aren't below 80% of area median income, which is the number for affordable housing, and they're not above 120. They're in that group. Middle class folks who take a job with the city, and we require them to live here because we have residency, yet they can't afford the affordable housing programs and they can't afford the market rate units. We need to craft a program right in the middle for those folks so we can help them stay in our city.
I've got a minute. I've got two questions, and you've got a minute each to ask these two questions. First, I want to circle back to public safety. Where do you stand on Ed Davis as the police commissioner? Would you keep him or would you bring in your own?
I've said back in April, and I reiterated again last week, if Commissioner Davis wants to stay, he's more than welcome to stay in my administration. I've got a strong working relationship with the commissioner on a number of issues in 12 years in the city council. I think continuity for the next mayor is important given the challenges we face with gang and gun violence, and also related to the new challenges and threats we face with the marathon bombing and terrorism. So an orderly transition is critical, and I have a good relationship with him. So certainly if there are issues that need to be addressed, and there are groups out there that feel that there are issues to be addressed, those groups would also have a seat in the administration at my table. And what I would hope is that if there were issues that are out there, those groups that will have a seat at my table will address them as they come along, so that we don't wait till it gets to a situation where it explodes like a powder keg. Part of the things that I'm talking about and I'm proud of is that everyone's going to have a seat at the table in the Consalvo administration, and that's why we're going to avoid situations that may be tenuous, because we're going to be working through them from the very beginning.
Now, it's going to be tough, but give me a minute on who you would look to put into that Boston Redevelopment Authority seat.
It's a great question, and so one of the things that I'm talking about is that we're going to have someone who is an innovator, someone who understands planning in an urban area, but also is willing to think outside the box to keep growing and moving Boston forward. We need to understand that Boston's downtown economy and development downtown is important for the economic lifeblood of our city. So, but we want a forward thinker and an innovative planner who's not afraid to take chances. One of the things that differentiates me from the other candidates is what I'm calling on is I won't pick a BRA director that doesn't have experience in our green economy and that doesn't have an experience in climate change. The greatest threat to our downtown economy and the greatest threat to our downtown development in the future, whether I'm mayor or not, is if Superstorm Sandy, if that storm came 10 miles more to the north, it would wipe out our downtown. We need a plan, a forward thinker who's going to plan for climate change, who's going to plan for our green economy, and who's going to be an innovator to move Boston even to greater heights than it is today.
All right, I've got about a minute and a half left. What I want you to do is to look into the camera and talk to the folks that are viewing and tell them why they should give their vote to you to be the next mayor of Boston.
Well, I want to thank the sheriff for the opportunity to come on here today. Always welcome and love being back here at BNN to talk to the voters of the city. I'm asking for your vote on September 24th to be the next mayor of the city of Boston. There's nobody in this race that brings what I have to the table. Proven record in public service. What I'm calling the trifecta of experience in state, federal, and city government. Having worked for Senator Kennedy and at the State House and in the City Council, I can hit the ground running on all of the issues that a mayor has to face on all three levels of government. You have to be able to walk the streets of our neighborhood, but you also have to be able to walk the halls of the State House and Congress to fight for our city. I've done it, and I'll do it as mayor. I've got the strongest record on the Boston City Council of innovation, new ideas, real leadership, and real public policy initiatives that move our city forward on public safety, schools, and technology. I've been the one voice in the City Council that's not afraid to file new ideas, roll up my sleeves and work to get them done and get them passed. So our city's using these new ideas to do the job better, smarter, faster, and more efficient. As mayor, I have a vision of being the CEO of the city that grows a strong economy and respects and understands how important fiscal stability is, and that means growing jobs for our neighborhood residents. I'll have a laser-like focus on the Boston Public Schools, not just because I'm the mayor, but because I have kids in the public schools. So I want to work to make sure that every child has access to quality education. I'll make public safety a priority. I'll make equal access to city services a priority. And I'll make a priority that every citizen has a voice in city government and a seat at the table. Bringing your ideas, your energy, and your vision for what Boston should be, and helping me implement that to move our city forward. I'm the most qualified candidate who's all in this race. I don't have another job to go to. All I want to do is be your next mayor. The Consalvos are all in for Boston, and I hope you'll vote for me on September 24th.
Bobby, it's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Sheriff.
I really do appreciate the time that you've taken to come and talk to us today. These are very important issues, and there's going to be a huge race, and the next mayor has got a lot of work to do, and so we need to know what that next mayor is going to stand for and how we as citizens can help. So good luck to you, good fortune, good speed, Godspeed, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, and I hope you vote for me.
You're not going to, Bobby?
Gotta ask.
Put me on the spot. You gotta love this guy. I'm in Hyde Park. He's my city guy. You got it. Listen, if you don't ask, you don't get, right? Hold on to that microphone. So we're gonna go to a couple of breaks, and on the other side, we've got Representative Harold Norton here. He's the chair of the Public Safety Committee, and he's gonna talk to us about public safety, gun control, and some of the issues that we've just talked to City Councilor Rob Consalvo about. So please do stay tuned.